want to see Leprechaun in the Wild Wild West? Yeehaw! Or a vicious, brutal takedown between two horror icons that you wouldn't expect? There are so many unmade horror movies that are almost in fruition, but they got pulled out right from under the rug, right before our eyes, because Hollywood's like, screw you! What up, y'all? Welcome back to Phantom of the Indie Review. I am your host, Direct-to-DVD Dill. We are on the glorious journey of 5,000 subscribers by Thanksgiving. Don't bring cranberry sauce unless it's decent. If you haven't seen my analysis on the entire House franchise that I poured my soul into, it's right there. And next week, we're going to be talking about my personal favorite top 10 Tales from the Crypt episodes. So if you think my list sucks, please come and harass me. Tell me to
burn some dust here. Eat my rubber.
If any of this seems interesting to you, if you're a horror hound like I, and if you want to write a passion project to an ultimate horror sequel and have Hollywood throw it in the trash bin and say you suck, come hang out with me and give me a Chevy. Let's start off by talking about the infamous one, Halloween. That's right, Michael Myers and the juggernaut Pinhead, they go head to head together and they face off. Sadly, this movie never came to fruition. After the success of Freddy vs. Jason and obviously Alien vs. Predator, Hollywood was like, yo, we gotta do more crossover movies, and what perfect fit than to do Michael Myers in one. I mean, I feel like there's not really many killers you could pair him up with that would make too much sense, like Leatherface. That'd be kind of weird. Mike Myers in Texas. You could have done a Stephen King route and maybe did Michael Myers versus Carrie. Dimension Films, the company we know and love, they're like, no, we're gonna do Mike versus Hellraiser. That could be lit. One of the main plots that they had kind of pinned down floating around was that a group goes to Michael Myers' house and they find a weird box which one of the members solve. Pinhead is revealed, and he informs the group that one of the Cenobites possessed Michael, and that's one of the reasons to explain his inhuman abilities. Kind of far-fetched. I mean, all horror movies are supernatural. Roads usually have questionable speculation behind it, but I feel like this one could have been cool. You know, the contrast, kind of like Freddy and Jason, where Pinhead has a lot to say, and Michael Myers is a shadowy figure that just kills. I feel like this could have been an interesting contrast to see the fear almost in Michael Myers' eyes when he can't do anything to stop Pinhead, to see this group of people go into the old rundown Myers house and find this box, and almost you could have many interpretations that maybe Michael Myers opens the box because he has no pleasure in his life and this sends him to hell. There's so many options. One of my favorite ones I want to talk about right now is Darren Boisman's Leprechaun in the Wild Wild West, baby. Yeehaw, and I ain't talking about Will Smith. Why do I keep saying yeehaw every time I do Wild Wild West? Am I cliche? Darren Boisman is best known for his contributions of the Saw franchise, and for years he has been passionately campaigning to make himself a Leprechaun movie starring Warwick Davis. Oh man, I love this franchise. I know a lot of people dog on it. Maybe I might just do a whole Leprechaun ranking review just to piss people off. The titular character of the Leprechaun franchise terrorizes a farmhouse, goes to Vegas, even space, so why not the Wild Wild West? And Darren Boisman, bless his soul, said he will will this movie into existence. I mean, we might not get Warwick Davis now, but he said things like, whether it be a weird rock opera or going to Japan to do a TV series, I'm gonna make this movie. Boisman has been vocal about this since 2008, so quite a long time after he kind of kickstarted some of the Saw sequels. He even tweeted Lionsgate being like, yo, DM your boy, give me an hashtag, type me with your Twitter fingers. But so far this horror comedy is just poop out of luck. Wish we had 4-leaf clover. Another one I find wildly interesting is Peter Jackson's The Dream Lover. That's right, after his breakout film Bad Taste from 1987, he had the opportunity to pen a sequel to the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, and he was going to call this one The Dream Lover. It was for the 6th installment in the franchise, and him and his partner realized that these movies took a quirky turn. They became more humorous, a lot of fun to them, which isn't a bad thing, but a lot of horror franchises do that. And him and his partner, they're like, yo, we really value Freddy Krueger and how scary he is, so let's make a sequel that is just as creepy as the character himself. In Dream Lover, Freddy Krueger would no longer be feared, and the kids of Springwood would intentionally take sleeping pills to go into the dream world and harass and now ridicule the killer. Freddy would then finally manage to kill someone and start regaining his power. I feel like that's a fascinating concept, almost like this cult vibe. I could definitely see this movie being made nowadays with social media and the internet. People like filming it. They're like, I'm gonna take these sleeping pills, you know, and dream with my phone and then film them and then wake up and it's just a cool concept. I feel like this obsessed lore of killers too, because we see that a lot nowadays. All these people that idolize Richard Ramirez, or not John Wayne Gacy's fat ass, but other serial killers. People have deep dark deep-seated obsessions with them. So to idolize the Springwood slasher, I feel like would be very epic. And instead of doing this Part 6 movie, they decided to go with Michael DeLuca's script instead, which we all know was Freddy, the Final Nightmare. That's hilariously upsetting to think about. The zombie pioneer himself, George A. Romero, who kickstarted a generation of terror with Night of the Living Dead. And my personal favorite movie years later, Survival of the Dead, was actually approached for an opportunity to do Resident Evil. In 1998, Japanese video game developer Capcom hired George A. Romero, the father of the modern zombie genre, to direct a live-action commercial for the second Resident Evil game, known as Biohazard 2. Fuck, why do I keep doing that? Although only 30 seconds long, the advert led to Sony asking Romero to pen the upcoming film adaptation. Romero's script was relatively faithful to the plot of the first game, especially in comparison to the film that ended up being released in 2002, which George A. Romero, an excellent filmmaker, knows a lot about zombies, was faithful to the script, and they're like, no, we're good. He focused on the characters Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine, and featured a lot of T-virus created creatures, including zombie dogs, zombie sharks, Plant 42, and the giant snake. God, this sounds so awesome. I feel like it would have been very scary. I'm not a huge fan of the Resident Evil franchise, that more sci-fi approach. Maybe I'll rank the entire Resident Evil franchise because I can. But yeah, dude, this is a missed opportunity for sure, especially having the back lore and focus on two main characters. I mean, they could have had a shark dog, but instead later on they made Sharknado. Capcom producer Yoshiki Okamoto has stated that the script wasn't good, so Romero was fired. That's insane. That's such a disrespectful thing to say. A little touch-up seeing how Freddy vs. Jason launched this crossover explosion. What would you do if there was Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash? Oh my. After Freddy vs. Jason hit theaters in 2003, a sequel featuring Ash from the Evil Dead series was considered. It would have started with Freddy tormenting Jason as a disembodied entity and needing the Necronomicon from the Evil Dead 2 to resurrect himself. And the Book of Dead, the Necronomicon, did make a cameo appearance in Jason Goes to Hell, so that could have been used for the canon. Ash enters the picture by working at a local S-Mart and would end up being the main protagonist against Freddy and Jason. And that's such a cool concept because I love Freddy vs. Jason. I'm a sucker for it. But seeing Ash, who already deals with this supernatural and crazy, macabre, murderous mayhem, being like the face of these two villains, that'd be so epic. And his wittiness with Freddy Krueger would be so funny. They'd have so much dichotomy and chemistry together. I feel like it would be one of the funniest horror movies of all time. Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash never made it past Jeff Katz's initial treatment. In 2017, Robert Englund said he had been keen for it to happen, but that New Line Cinema was against it because he just had his ass kicked by Jason and they didn't want Freddy to look weak. Which is fair because he does get manhandled by Jason in Freddy vs. Jason, and now it's kind of too late for Robert Englund. He already pretty much said he would be done doing the Freddy Krueger character unless it was in a cartoon. You could have Kevin Bacon do it. Kevin Bacon and Bruce Campbell in one movie. That would sell tickets, folks. Bruce Campbell, however, was less enthusiastic, saying he was not really interested in crossovers. He also mentioned that we wouldn't control any other character other than Ash, and you're splitting the proceeds between 3 with the partners you might not want. And so it's like, we get it, Bruce Campbell, you have a high ego, you think you're slick. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Ash, but you ain't special, and it's all about the money. Did I press record? 1, 2, buckle my shoes. There are so many horror icon directors on this list too that just sends chills down your spines to even think about. Like in 2011, Guillermo del Toro thought that his adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's novella At the Mountain of Madness was finally going to be made. He said, "We thought we had a very good, safe package. It was around $150 million, Tom Cruise and James Cameron producing. However, Universal pulled out because they wanted to have it PG-13 and Del Toro was committed to an R rating. With H.P. Lovecraft, you have to do R rating. You goons, I can't stand media." And there are so many H.P. Lovecraft adaptations. Maybe I should rank every H.P. Lovecraft movie. What do you think? And last but not least, John Carpenter, the man you know and love, who brought us The Ting. Other stuff. Halloween, even. And I think Children of the Village Dam. Don't unsubscribe for me saying this. I'm just being brutally honest with you. I hope this is a safe space and you can be honest with me too. But I'm not a huge John Carpenter nut. I'm not a huge buff on him. I don't think he's bad. I just think he's highly overrated. I'm kidding. It was a joke. November Fools. Since John Carpenter was so successful, he was offered in 1992 from Universal Pictures, hey, pick whatever monster movie you want. Will it be Frankenstein, Dracula, Frankenstein's wife, The Invisible Man? He said, dude, I'm not making a movie about Dylan's dad. But he knew exactly what he wanted to do. He said, I'm going to do Creature from the Black Lagoon. I also have a Creature from the Black Lagoon poster up there. The script for the reboot had been written 10 years earlier by Nigel Neal.
Tag it.
Okay, let me finish filming. Tag. Okay.
I tag back.
No tag backs, no erases, and this entire room is scot-free. Carpenter wanted the movie to mix together the idea of the creature being the missing link between man and fish with a storyline about creationist scientists. That's a really interesting, thought-provoking idea. Very science fiction, very meta, very disturbing. I feel like that could have been creepy. And he was planning to give it a Lovecraftian feel, which, oh my god, we need this movie. He also brought in Rick Baker, who won an Oscar for his makeup effects in American Werewolf in London. Oh man, that's like going to an ice cream shop and being like, you want candy, you want fudge, you want sprinkles, you want chocolate? Too damn bad! Okay, one sec. But the film never got the green light from Universal. And that might be because of Carpenter's Memoirs of an Invisible Man flopping and giving the studio cold feet, but you never sleep on John Carpenter, you dummies. Well, alright guys, that's the video. Are there any horror movies that I missed? Are there any that sound particularly interesting to you? Please let me know. Comment down below. Subscribe, give me a thumber, hit that ding-a-ling button harassing you, telling you, hey, it's me, I'm here, and I'm gonna say it one time for the one time and two time for the O's. Give me a hell yeah for horror. Stop.
I'm not talking.
Hollywood, if you want to hire me for making John Cena versus the Raptors from Jurassic Park, get at your boy.